Okay, my name is David Wilson. I grew up in Northern Ireland in Belfast. You know, I found my faith at around 17 or 18 years of age because at that time in Northern Ireland I was mad keen on sport, and I joined the Scouts and the Boys Brigade, and as part of a Presbyterian church I joined the Christian Endeavour and so on, and that was great. I was very comfortable with what was going on then, and in many respects it was that relationship with Christ that kept me out of trouble, because Northern Ireland was a place of political unrest, and there were a lot of friends that I knew and grew up with joining the paramilitaries and so on. So everything was fine, and then I had the opportunity to come to university, and because of the unrest in Northern Ireland I chose to come to Manchester. Once I sampled the joys of university life, I never went back to Northern Ireland, and unfortunately at that time I let go of my faith. There was too many other things going on, too many distractions. In the back of my mind I carried with me this guilt that I ought to be reaching out to Christ, I ought to be strengthening my relationship with Him, but I found I was having a good time, and I got involved in career development, in working my way through my business life, and lots of these other things became very distracting, and the consequence was for 30 or 40 years I really let go of my Christian faith. A number of years later I happened to be on holiday in St Lucia, and having come from Manchester, I'm a keen Man City fan, and there I was in St Lucia, found myself in the library one morning watching a Manchester City versus Liverpool game. I sat down next to one of the other chaps who was there watching the game, who supported Liverpool, unfortunately, but nevertheless I struck up a conversation with him, and it was nice friendly banter and so on, and it was an all-inclusive resort, and I remained in contact with this person throughout the rest of the holiday, and I would meet him for a drink or a coffee or a beer or whatever, and that relationship and that friendship grew. When the holiday ended, I came back to Lancashire, and he went to Oxfordshire, down to a place called Banbury. And surprisingly, the relationship still stood the test of that distance coming between us, and we kept in fairly regular touch. And he had family in Lancashire as well, near Chorley. So every time he came up north to see his family, we would meet up. We'd go for dinner. He'd come round to my house. We'd have a drink. We'd have a chat. We'd have a catch up, and the relationship continued like that for a number of years. And then one day he said to me, I'm coming up to live in Preston. I'm moving from Banbury up to Preston. And I thought, wow, that's really good. Then we'll get to see a little bit more of one another. So that was great. So he moved up to the Preston area, and then one day I got a call from him to say, look, I've joined a church called the Minster in Preston, and I'm actually running the walking group, and I wondered if you and your partner would like to come along. So I said, yeah, that would be great. So we joined this walking group. We turned up, and we didn't know any of these people before. So what happened then, we met lots of really nice people. Many of those people are very good friends now, but we met lots of couples and single people and so on, and we had a great spiritual fellowship there. Shortly after I started coming to the church, it happened to coincide with when an Alpha group was running, so I came along to the Alpha group, and I found that to be really enlightening and really interesting, and I felt my faith beginning to rekindle. I felt something inside me saying, I want more of this, I want to understand more, I want to be part of this, and that led me to grow spiritually. And of course, along the way I met lots of very interesting people who were reaching out to me to help to make it easier for me, and I found it a very friendly and enjoyable environment to be part of. From that, I think It led to me finding God again. It led to my life changing. It led to me reprioritizing what was important in my life. It led to me reaching out to God. It led to me asking God for direction, for leadership. My life before coming to the Minster was a very driven, a very focused on life, on being successful in business, being successful in my career, making money. I wanted a nice lifestyle, and all these things seemed to me to be paramount. And I set my stall out to go and achieve that. I wanted to be successful. These things I pursued, but there was always a void. There was always something missing. There was a hollowness. And many of the things that I thought were important in my business life and in my career suddenly began to take on a less significant purpose for me. And it led to me on the 29th of January 2023 getting baptized. And for me it was to be to signify and to make a public statement that I have refound my faith and I want to recommit my life to Christ, this time for good. I think from the moment I got baptized, my life changed, my outlook changed, my attitude changed, my values changed, my goals became different, my Christian faith began to flourish. I was hungry to learn more about Christ. I then started to join some Bible study groups, leadership groups around the church, and I realized that all the things that I had been pursuing for most of my life became less important. And what became important to me was the fact that Christ was first and foremost in my life. From then, it's led to me feeling that my life has been transformed. Hello, Davey.
Hi there, David. Well, I'm the Liverpool fan that you were talking about.
Don't I know it?
So David, why did you invite David to church?
Well, I've experienced Jesus for myself, and I've experienced the Minster and the work of the Holy Spirit within the Minster. And it's really good. And because it's really good and really beneficial to me and helps me in my life, then why wouldn't I introduce my best friend to this same experience as I have received? I talked to David I'm coming to the Minster. Would you like to come along to the Minster? I knew that in his life and in all of our lives from time to time, we have issues that are difficult. And I knew that David was going through some difficulties, so if I receive benefit and strength from the church and from the Holy Spirit, then I want to introduce my friend to that same experience that I have received.